time, I'll cut down a little bit on this, but I think we get the idea of how they're creating experiences in a lobby where it was, what do you do in a lobby, right? You go check in, you probably hang out for like 5 minutes. So again, if you think from a traditional return on investment perspective, what is the value that we're trying to do? But the fact is, when you do this, you're actually creating a holistic experience for somebody, and you're creating a perception that about cosmopolitan. So that's something that people are going to talk about. Right? They're probably going to share as well. Even House of Cards. This House of Cards, again, the best part of House of Cards is that it was wholly launched on Netflix. Again, very different way of approaching. In today, it was not traditional broadcasters, but it was Netflix. So Netflix is this streaming service in the US. We don't have that in India yet. But you don't today talk about, did you watch yesterday's episode? What do you talk about is which season are you in, right? It's a very different way of approaching stuff, because you can watch at your own convenience, at your own time. And our devices, of course, give us the power to watch it anywhere. So again, moving from products and services and creating experiences that are there. Now, this is an example of, this is actually a photo app called Hipstamatic, which was there much before Instagram. Right? But they did not get the probably the holistic way of looking at things. So the experience is part of it. So they created a beautiful app, and what Instagram did is they also created an app, but they also layered it with social. Now, what Instagram learned was only one very small insight. It's the most powerful insight, which is why do you take photographs to share, right? They just added that. And then you see Instagram where they are today. So that's that's the power of understanding and unlocking the value of experiences. And there is no better example than this, what they did in Sweden about this particular thing. Again, watch this. It's pretty interesting.
In Sweden, something unusual is happening. Normally, a country that has a Twitter account has that account run by an official of the government. Not so in Sweden.
Do this in India.
The people there are actually in charge.
In 2011, we became the first country in the world to let go of an official communication channel and hand it over to our citizens. Together with the Swedish Institute and Visit Sweden, we decided to break all branding principles and revolutionize the voice of a country. Every week, someone in Sweden is at Sweden, sole ruler of the world's most democratic Twitter account. For 7 days, he or she shares their everyday life, private opinions, and general reflections. After that, someone else does the same, but differently. This is a simple way to give tips and advice on where to go on your holiday in Sweden. And a great way to interact with people around the world. We can easily share traditional Swedish food, as well as our taste in music or cinema. You can come with us to a regular day at work, or hang out with us on our free time, both in the busy city and out in the wild. The response was overwhelming. We attracted over 25,000 followers from 120 countries and started thousands of conversations. Sweden trended on Twitter worldwide, sparking discussions on transparency in social media and how technology can be used for democracy, as well as inspiring citizens in other countries to start similar accounts. The initiative has been featured all over the world. Some think it's just a clever PR campaign. Others believe that it's a beacon of free speech in a time when we need it more than ever. For us, it's the only way to paint a fair picture of Sweden for the rest of the world. Swede by Swede. Tweet by tweet.
So again, a great example of how you could unlock the value. So there was always Twitter again, right? But this country took it to the next level. Just imagine you owning the account of @India, and then you're using it. So you're a lot more prouder of what you're trying to do there, and as well as it's not going to be a branded government communication. So you're really talking about India, and that's the same thing that they've done out there. So for me, that's a great example of how you can actually unlock the value in that. Now, with those things, let's examine this question. Can designers truly make a difference? How many of you actually believe that we can make a difference? Okay, I do believe that as well. So that's the reason I'm actually, first of all, putting that out, because I was seeing Tim Brown is this IDEO CEO, and he was in a panel discussion. So I was seeing the way he was thinking about it, and I just captured a couple of quotes he shared. So being a designer, first of all, is amazing, because you have a choice to do what you actually are going to create, right? You have a certain vision of the world, and you are going to create that world even before it exists. Think about all the stuff that we as designers are creating today. The world has not yet seen it. They're not talking about it, but you know about it, right? So you have the power to actually initiate conversations, and it's a pretty big responsibility as well, So that's about what I think. As designers, we have a lot of responsibility as well. So to do that, by the way, it's not always easy, right? I mean, when you have a lot of responsibility, it also comes with the price that you have to pay, which is really hard work, and think holistically and be a lot more aware of the world and the people that you're designing for. You got to understand people at a very deep level. You got to understand what are the emotions that the brand wants to evoke in people. And with that, you'll be identifying and creating shared stories. So a small little frame that you can carry with you and see how you are creating those identified shared stories. As I said, the Instagram is a shared story that the company has created. So like that, you can think of anything that whatever you work today, you think of that as a story and a dialogue between you and the person that is using it. Because necessarily what we are doing is we are not creating, as I said, silos anymore. We are creating worlds. Now this is Harry Potter. Now Harry Potter started as a book. Now there is a Harry Potter theme park that's out there. There are Harry Potter games. There are so many movies that are out there. Right, and they have their own world and apps, and you name it, you have everything out there, right? So you're not creating just one book or one stuff out here. You're creating a world. Like Game of Thrones, for example, even that is a world out there. So there is a Game of Thrones theme park also coming up, for example. So when you're creating, when the guy approached this first time, how did he approach? Did he approach like this? Probably not. Right? He was thinking about it in a small scale, but today's world takes it to a completely whole new level. So can we start thinking about it from day one? Right? That's the ask out here. So I already spoke about it, because as designers, today's world kind of involves a lot more than just one discipline. You need to know and do all of these things, as well as look at how the evolution has happened from a user-centered design to design for delight, like they say, and creating experiences ultimately. From desktop, earlier you used to do that, right? Desktop, then mobile, and then create tablets. That's the way we think about it. But it doesn't work anymore. Today, it's a holistic approach. So every time we do work today, we can't just think of one device and then start to scale it up or scale it down as required. Because think about it, right? If you're building a car website, for example, let me give you that example, car site. So you have certain content on your desktop, on the big browser, but that may not work for you on the mobile, because what do you want to do in a mobile in a car site? Would you want to do research of a car? Probably not. You may want to book test drive there. That's what you're looking to do. If you're looking at a flight booking site, you would book your site on a big browser, but you may actually end up checking in to that particular flight on your mobile. So you have a very different context. So it's about thinking about it completely through context and holistically, and that's what we need to do. Okay, I think I'm running seriously out of time, so let me quickly show this of how they have thought about it, Hilton, on the holistic aspect of
the new Hilton Honors app, a revolutionary way to book, check in, choose your room, make requests for your arrival, and access your bill. Oh yeah, I'm going to Dallas next Thursday. I need to book a hotel. Let's see if I can get a Hilton. With Honors, I can check in and even choose the exact room I want, just like selecting a seat with an airline. And they have it across all of their brands and hotels. The app keeps all my stay details, handy for expenses, and to remind me where I've stayed before, with a quick rebook button. I think I'll book a king. Great. I can check in for tomorrow. Should be there around 6 p.m. if my meeting finishes at 5-ish. This is the best bit. I can see all the available rooms and get to choose exactly where in the hotel I want to stay. I like to be near ground level. I'll go for first floor. And as I'll have a few heavy bags, I'll get a room near the elevator. Room 152. That looks perfect. Let me take a quick look at the details. I love this bit too. I can pre-order things for my room that'll be there when I get there. And if my flight's anything like last time, I'll probably need a cool beer waiting for me. And an extra pillow for a good night's sleep. All right, better get going. As I'm an Honors member and have already checked in, I don't have to wait in line or fill in any forms. I can just swing by and pick up my keys straight from the front desk.
So again, thinking about holistically, it's again a hospitality company, how they are thinking about one app, how they are thinking about one app and how the world is changing for them is something for us to, understand. So that's so what we did when we were thinking about a travel experience. Now this work is again not an for an airline, but not even for a travel company, but for a hospitality company. And the way we are seeing it is very, very different from traditionally how you would see a hotel company here, right? So we are thinking about enabling travel for people who want to probably, this is a scenario we took of a couple going to a 2020 World Cup that's coming up, and if they're traveling with the team, in the Indian team, what happens and what are the ways in which what are the ways in which this particular hotel can enable their travel? That's this scenario. I mean, of course, you can't see a lot of it, but love to explain if anybody is interested. So, with that, I've run out of time. I have a few more slides out there, but necessarily the point that I'm trying to share is: are we ready to answer those questions? Are there really are these the answers for them? Are there other answers that we are looking for? And I think it's anyway an exploratory exercise for all of us. So with that, I'll say thank you, and if there are questions, I'll be really happy to take them as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, so we have the next session by UX shop is really a rarity these days. Everyone knows the concept, everyone understands and give a lot of preference to UX, but still it is a nice to have feeling only as far as many IT companies are concerned. But if not today, tomorrow, certainly it will grow to a situation that it is must to have. Sudhendra has asked couple of beautiful questions. One is, what is UX? I think you people have really given us the best UX because much before the scheduled time, people are almost full here. That's the real best example of UX, right? So we are here. I don't want to really be between the delegates and the speakers. I'll take just 1 minute. We are focusing on UX, providing UX consulting, UX coaching and training. We have aligned with Texas Tech University to offer university-based certification and training. And similarly, we are also going to launch DevOps certification very soon. So a couple of days back, we had an excellent conference on DevOps. That's end-to-end DevOps cycle we have demonstrated actually. And very soon, with the support of Unicom, we are going to launch some series of UX conferences based on sort of themes. So I'm wishing you all the best. Hopefully, all of you will really earn plenty of UX concepts today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vinod. Pleased to have Ted, so that if you can start your session on UX tools for innovation, where he'll be talking on how we as UX practitioners can best contribute.
Obvious, but it wasn't there at the very beginning. And it's also interesting because the brief was pretty open about what we were to talk about. But you'll see there's a lot of the similar thinking. Now, of course, Sudhindra and I worked at the same company for a long time, so we've gotten a lot of the same influences. But I also think we're talking about the things that are happening in the world right now. So I think it's a matter of UX designers. At least I hope that's what it means. So just a really short bit about me. I'm a geographer. That's actually what my university training was in. I was studying public space and doing my PhD thesis, and I was doing that at the time when the internet was becoming a thing. And everyone said, well, if you want to study public space is cyberspace. Where it's happening is online. And so I actually started to turn my study toward that, and after a few years of doing that, I started to find that actually there was this whole interesting world of qualitative social research feeding into design that was kind of the initial stages of user experience. I'm old enough to have predated user experience as a discipline to some extent. And so I came into doing that kind of work and have now, since been working for companies in a whole range of different areas, working for lots of different companies, both Sapient, worked for Vodafone for a while, worked for a few different companies, and now for Brilliant Basics. And we really focus on digital products and services, consulting, creating our own products, and collaborating with startups around building products and services. So I want to start this off with a story about a few years ago, when I was a little less responsible, a little more adventurous. I took a one-day motorcycle racing course. I didn't plan to be a motorcycle racer, but I rode at the time, and I thought this would be a great way to learn some more skills. It'd be a fun thing to do, a bit of a challenge, and a fun day out. And it actually turned out to be much more than that. There's still things I carry with me from that experience and think about in other contexts. And one of those came to me in thinking about this talk about innovation and user experience, which was one of the first things they told us, which is where you look is where you'll go. You get on a motorcycle, you head toward a corner at high speed, it's very easy to focus on the wall. And if where you look is where you go, that's not what you want to focus on. It's also very easy to focus on, should I pull the clutch right now? Which gear should I be in? How should I shift my weight? And get really internally focused. And if you do that for very long, you'll mess it up. But if you